Mr. Philip Rosedale, and I think that I can just give him the roving mic, and he will engage you.
Thank you. First off, thanks for inviting me. It's cool to be here. I just got here a couple hours ago, so I wasn't here for the very beginning of this event. But I have been here for the last couple hours, so it's been fantastic. And in fact, I think, I've written down a number of comments here and listening to what everybody's been talking about, and I think, the best stuff I can do is to pull some of this together a little bit. I'm always happy on a day where Second Life seems to perform more stably than Skype. I'll take that anytime for the people in world. And hello to everybody in world. Although we're just showing the Eduverse sign, which is now on the video screen in Second Life, I always love the recursion there. That means we're just showing everyone in Second Life the sign that they can already see in Second Life. It's great. There have been so many good points made. I just want to grab one that we've talked about a couple of times here because I think it's a sort of a big picture point, and then I'll kind of go back a little bit to my own thoughts. I hope we can have a bit more of a conversation, and I can sort of, to the social psychology viewpoint, I can come sit in the audience again or turn around or something so that everybody will actually ask questions. It is true that people ask questions more in virtual worlds. We certainly see this in Second Life. It's a profound effect. We as a company at Linden Lab, we're 300 people now. Only 130 of those people are in San Francisco in our main office. We use Second Life every day. The average person at Linden Lab uses it about 2 hours a day for work. So it is extremely heavily used. Now, admittedly, we are expert users of what is still, in many ways, a fairly complex system. So, we're an early indication of what's to come. But our use of Second Life as a company is spectacularly successful. And one of the ways it's successful in that it is, just as we heard a moment ago, it's much easier to ask like an aggressive question of a group when you're doing it in text or even in voice with that minor indirection of sort of projecting yourself into an avatar. Really an interesting point. Let's see. Points I wanted to make. One thing that was mentioned earlier, I don't remember who said it, but it was that the initial motivation behind building virtual worlds, and this is, I'm speaking for myself, but I think it's true for a lot of the pioneers, some of whom you've heard from today, that have been working on this in many cases longer than I have and my company has. The dream of Second Life to me sort of began with the idea of like a garden. So I sort of imagined a digital ecosystem in which you could grow a new world that would grow and grow and grow until it was fantastically more complex and unimaginable, perhaps even than the real world in some sense. I imagined, thousands of machines. Now we have tens of thousands, but thousands of machines linked together, simulating like an ecosystem, literally a forest that you would wander through. It's amazing because today you can find little places in Second Life that look a little bit like, with all the neat graphics turned on and a really good card and everything, look a little bit like what I was imagining in 1999. So, I think the point there is that the point of virtual worlds is to use technology to do the one thing that we always wanted to do with it as soon as we had sort of the internet, generally network technology that would connect people and their computers. And that was to simulate reality as we know it, to essentially recreate the world, hopefully having some properties in which it is actually better than the world that we know. And that, for me, was my dream and motivation as a kid. I, creative young entrepreneur who was doing electronics and soldering and cutting up wood and just generally trying to build things. And I never had enough money or enough time or enough machine tools to build the things I wanted to build. And so for me, there was this very direct passion where I wanted to build a world in which you could make cool stuff. And in some strange way, I think that the magic of virtual worlds and the minimal requirement that they need to have, as we have been discussing some today, it contains that. You have to be able to build magically complex things inside them. People have to be able to communicate and interact with each other in sort of generalized, complicated ways.